Welcome, everybody, to our.
It's good. Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, to our board meeting tonight. We will get started with the. I pledge allegiance. One nation. Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank everybody for coming. We've got a quorum, and first thing, we have any changes to the agenda?
Changes this time.
One of our favorite parts is the accolades. So let the party begin.
We got two superintendent awards tonight. I like to preface, the superintendent awards are pretty special. They're a pretty big deal because each teacher only gets to do this one time a year, which means they're spending their opportunity on that student. Person they've selected is obviously described for a reason, somebody who's been very well thought of by that teacher, and the teacher explains why. So these are a big deal. I like to preface with that. And the two tonight are going to be here with their teachers, and we'll get to hear about what they've done to earn an award. So Eliana Levy and her teacher, Anna Villegas, are here. We'll listen to what Ms. Villegas has.
She's a good one.
She is.
I'm gonna keep her. To the parents of Eliana Levy, I am honored to nominate Eliana for the Superintendent Award. Eliana is a hardworking and conscientious student who consistently goes above and beyond in her academic pursuits. She has a strong desire to learn and continuously strives to deepen her understanding of material. Her thoughtful questions reflect her genuine curiosity and commitment to learning. Beyond her academic achievements, Eliana is a true asset to her classmates. She is always willing to help others, offering support and encouragement whenever it's needed. Her kindness and empathy make her a trusted friend and a positive influence in her school community. Eliana also demonstrates a deep care for others, showing respect and compassion in all her interactions. She leads by example, embodying the values of kindness, responsibility, and integrity. I would also like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Eliana's parents for, sorry, getting choked up here, for their unwavering support. Their encouragement and involvement has been instrumental in fostering her growth and success. For all of these reasons, I wholeheartedly recommend Eliana Levy for Superintendent Award. She is a truly deserving of this honor.
You're gonna copy everything that's it. Our other superintendent award winner tonight is Don Powell. He's here with teacher Mrs. Adams.
Dear Mr. Pello, it is with a great honor that I nominate Dominic Pello for the December 2024 Superintendent Award. Mr. Pello is a 12th grade student who demonstrates extremely strong leadership skills in his civics and government classes. The thing that stands out the most about Mr. Pello is his commitment to his learning community. He is a support to others. He has volunteered his time with Project Grab and Go and is actively involved in theater. Last year, his performance as Yvette in the RCCS Theater Courses production of Clue was an amazing contribution to the arts in Reedsport, Oregon. He brought his leadership and teamwork skills to the football field as well. Mr. Pello approaches his learning in civics and government class with enthusiasm. He often goes above and beyond each assignment to truly explore the topic and review all sides of an issue. He has the ability to state his opinion in a way that is both candid and respectful, even when disagreeing with others. He takes his civic duties, rights, and responsibilities seriously and has been an exemplar of an American citizen. Mr. Pello has stated that he would like to become a culinary chef and attend Southwestern Community College after high school. I'm looking forward to hearing about the great things Mr. Powell will accomplish post-graduation. I am sure that he will continue to be an amazing representative of Reedsport Community Charter School. Thank you.
Hearing strong academics, I'm hearing valuable members of the learning communities and the classrooms. I need to keep the teachers and students, once more, Dominic and Eliana, come on back up. We're gonna get the obligatory photograph. But
One more time.
just hearing about strong classroom leadership, being supportive of their classmates, part of the learning community, scooching. And hardworking academic students,
Turn that around. 1 second.
great characteristics.
Okay, you ready? Everybody smile. I have to take a few and you have to smile. One more. All right, thank you.
We're going to tonight one. We'll have many more in February.
Right. Okay, we're gonna go to community comments.
Nope.
No.
Skip part B of accolades.
Oh,
This is Board Appreciation Night. It's Board Appreciation Month because they don't know which day is the board meeting. But the month of January, we take the time to recognize the hardworking men and women who are on our school board and who give countless hours for exactly $0 and time and effort, and energy to making our schools better, participating in the things that our board needs to do to give us policy, to adopt a budget, and to hire our staff. Around the room, some of the schools, some of the classrooms have made contributions to the decorations. And the district has a small token of appreciation with the luminary and the cake, the message on there. The luminary. Thank you for shining your light in our community. So thank you to our school board members for everything you do for Reedsport School District.
thank you, everybody, put the posters and stuff and everything. It's very nice. Appreciate that. Okay, all right, so now we'll go to community comments. Individuals may present a community comment to the board on agenda items. Please note on the sign-in sheet which item you wish to address and fill out a community comment card at the sign-in table. You are limited to no more than 3 minutes. You may address the board on a topic not on the agenda if it does not pertain to a complaint against a staff member. However, the board reserves the right to refer the matter to the administration. So do we have any community comments?
Got one.
Okay, this is from Mrs. Adams. Like Christmas all over again. Okay, spoiling this, that's what we're-
Just put chairs over there.
Good mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a letter to read from our union here, for you all. Dear Board of Directors, we hope you enjoy the gifts that you have received for board appreciation. We are grateful to you for your volunteerism and your good intentions. We would also like to grant you a peace of mind and the gift of less stress. We understand you have given us surveys to try to gauge the culture of our work environment because you have been worried about the rapport between administrators and teachers. We would like to assure you that when it's appropriate and necessary, we will use the processes, grievances, and complaints as outlined in our CBA and district policies. When our administration makes decisions which are not appropriate, we will address these through the processes which provide us legal protection. With that said, our administration has done much good in our district. We would like to present these 3 routes.
Will you bring the wreaths forward? Okay.
We would like to present you with these three wreaths. Each wreath represents one of our administrators, Superintendent Zupke, Principal Ewing, and Vice Principal Watts. On these wreaths are ribbons which represent their good work since the beginning of the school year. We are granting you the gift of less worry by reminding you of our strength as a union. Whether we stand for the notes of positivity or we are voicing a disagreement, we will be standing together and united.
Nice, how nice. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, guys. That was really
That's
lovely.
really, really special.
I like that.
They take it, the ribbons and was.
Yeah. There's quite a few nice comments on. Very nice comments. I'm gonna appreciate that for a while, I think.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for that. Very nice. Okay, I guess we'll go to any reports, Mr. Duffy.
Local service plan.
Local service plan presentation.
So I'd like to introduce Paul Peterson. He is the superintendent of the South Coast CSD. He's been here before in front of us. And he'll run us through the local service plan. We do this annually.
I don't follow that.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Recognition for the board and for admin. That's really special. Thank you, Superintendent Blumpy and members of the board. Thank you for your service to the community. I'm Paul Peterson, Superintendent of the South Coast ESD, and on behalf of the Board of Directors for the ESD, I thank you for inviting me to join you here. I'm here to provide a brief description of the local service plan and to answer your questions related to the LSP, local service plan, which is on your agenda tonight. As an overview, every year the local service plan gets reviewed and approved by the regional superintendents of the 10 districts, then the ESD board, and then the boards of each of the 10 school districts within South Coast ESD's service area, which ranges from Eastport to Brookings. The local service plan on your agenda tonight is unchanged. Once again, from the LSP you approved last year. This plan was reviewed by the area's 10 school district superintendents this fall, and they voted to approve plan on November 21st. Then the South Coast ESD Board of Directors also voted unanimously to approve this plan on December 10th. The LSP is designed to provide the maximum flexibility to each district and how they want to use their ESD resolution dollars. And then each district chooses from a menu of services what they need from the ESD, and we call those tier 2 services. Altogether, tier 2 services comprise about 95% of the ESD's resolution dollars, with just about 5% in tier 1, or what we sometimes call core services, that benefit all 10 districts. Those tier 1 services include homeschool registration, audiology testing, first for 3 evaluations, and the Safe Schools program. South Coast ESD is proud to partner with your district and to help deliver the highest quality programs and services for students in a cost-effective manner, and I'm happy to answer any questions and to follow up with Superintendent Zupke with any additional information. So with that, are there any questions?
So there are no changes to the,
No.
was it nursing changed?
Okay, the local service plan is the overarching umbrella for all 10 districts.
Okay,
We make a specific order.
Okay, so that was
Our
not
items.
In our.
Yeah, so we made changes to our service order, yes.
gotcha.
And those
The
changes
overall
happen
ESD,
throughout the
right.
year,
Okay,
and we do our very best to accommodate those changes when they come in.
Perfect.
Anybody else have any questions? Thank you.
This is something that you'll take action on to accept in that portion of the agenda.
Thank you.
Madam Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Paul.
The audit presentation will be, our audit will be on at 6 o'clock, so we may bump her down further into the report section.
Okay. Okay, so then we have Assistant Business Manager Josh Cook, Southwest ESD. Thank you, folks. Welcome to stay.
Thank you.
Let's give them enough. So nothing much for the financials this month, other than the completion and presentation of the audit upcoming. I'm still waiting on a state school fund recalculation. I was hoping to see that from ODE by this point. We still haven't. Sometimes if they get many adjustments early in the year, they'll recalculate instead of making us wait till possibly March or so. But so far that hasn't been the case, so we'll continue to hold a negative number in June in preparation for our declining enrollment. And yeah, we'll listen to the audit presentation, and do we have any questions over the financials that have been provided to you?
Anyone have any questions on financials?
Wait. Didn't grab that number. We're, last time we were running about 545, and there's always a winter dip. Josh and I've had a conversation here recently yesterday. When we readjusted to 560, I think we will be able to be back there by spring, but we're not taking our eye off it too very long for every month. When we get the calculation, we're kind of talking about it. But right now, the last one was about 545. Those 4 new kids, the last 2 days of the elementary.
You can't,
We have to spend less. But, yeah,
yeah,
we're paying attention to not maxing out in every area, because if we have to take that negative adjustment, at the end, we have to account for it somewhere.
yeah, and that's why I have that negative number in June to hopefully, better forecast that. So even with that negative number, we're right now at a projected 752,000. Our goal, that we set for a budget was 850. We're close. So we're staying within that, and we can only make that change, that 560 change that we made at the beginning of the year. We're only allowed to do that within fall. We're only allowed to do that once, so we can't make another change. That number is with us for the rest of this.
We had asked about the date, that number, and I think it was around 9/20.
October 1st.
End of September.
I pulled it up after that, I pulled it up, but it was September or October.
Okay.
Because I would have got, probably October, because I would have got September's enrollment. So early October.
Excuse me, sorry, it was September 20th.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Carmen. So what's the latest date on these numbers that you're waiting on?
The latest date, ODE, I believe it's March is when they,
Even when they had a deadline of a projection, we saw last year that they decided, well, we need 2 more weeks, and they held out, and then they changed it 3 times, 3 consecutive weeks after that. They come across things that they need to correct, and they just pass the savings along. Or if there's money to give out, they'll award grants. So stuff will fluctuate, even at ODEs. It's not so precise as you get a paycheck. That's how much money you have to spend. It's pretty fluid.
yeah, because last year they had given us the estimate in December, and they didn't this year. Yeah. So,
So in recent federal legislative session, funding, bill that was not passed, that has been previously for rural schools. Do you know what impact that's going to have here? I think there were 30 school districts that received those federal funds and have for some 20 to 30 years. And that was not renewed in the latest legislation.
Like sunset.
Do you know what impact?
I do not know the impact of that yet. but I
Do we
will-
receive funds from
Small
that?
little schools.
Small rural schools?
Dollars. A lot of the smaller schools out in Eastern Oregon, I don't know that Breedsport got them.
No, not my grant. and
Would it come in a grant, though? If it was federal dollars, it would be,
most should be a grant.
so you're not aware that we're
I'm not sure that.
going to be impacted?
But they did sunset that and because of all those dollars not gonna, longer after the year.
I will look it all over though.
You can, yeah, revisit that in February. That would be great. See if we're,
That's something that we should. Like, long ago.
It wasn't a matter of application. They've
it's
stopped.
legislation.
They legislated.
They cut it out of the
into
bill.
that.
They just got rid of it. Let it die.
Well, I know what, do you know what the parameters for that would have been, at the time? It was,
It was around for at least 20 years.
Yeah.
They decided that small and rural schools needed a boost. And they put those dollars out and they would, renew that legislation annually. It kept it going for quite a while. I think we've had threats of it being sunsetted previously and now it has. And they're just gonna let it expire and not renew it.
I mean, didn't it tie into, I thought it tied into timber dollars, previous historic.
It was a loss that would previously have relied on post measure 5, that small rural schools were not getting, so they would try to help stabilize that loss. We know that Reedsport was one of the richest districts in Oregon pre-measure 5. All of the timber money that flowed through here, and after stabilization and equalization, we really got hammered.
okay, any other questions?
Sure, I didn't hear what you're saying.
Oh, just, we'll look forward to it next month.
Mr. Dwight, superintendent report.
I'll start and then if you know, can probably stop at 6 o'clock. I want to make sure that our auditor has a chance to start on time. In your packet, the ARESP is your classified association. They gave back survey responses. It was only 2 total turnout, so we didn't get very many responses back from classified on the survey, but they're included in your packet for review. The early literacy success grant. I'm going to ask you to take action on that, or if it's in the consent agenda to act and approve. You know what, actually, let's just move it into an action item, please, if we can get to that point. But we give roughly $55,000 from Oregon for literacy. Last year, we put all of it into our curriculum adoption and purchase, and that money was used up there. This year, between some of the curriculum we need to purchase and some staff training, we're going to use the $55,000 that way. The staff training is going to be in April. We have 8 teachers who will be attending that. This is early literacy, and so these dollars are mostly focused K-3. This year, there is some allowance for 4th grade to receive some benefit from those dollars, but by next year, the intention of those dollars going forward is it's only going to be for K-3 early literacy. High dosage tutoring, science and reading, updating curriculum, training staff, those sorts of things. In this case, we are purchasing curriculum and training staff. So I'll ask you to accept that grant so we can use and spend those dollars. So from the district level on the buildings, in prowling around the playground at Highland. Near the tennis courts, there are some large trees and, we had a local expert come out and give us an examination of what's going on. We get a lot of dropped big limbs, bigger than my arm. And they're falling from pretty good heights, and the obvious worry is that's a playground where kids are at. And he went out and gave us a look through. His explanation is that because it's not in a dense forest and there's a lot of sunlight, the thickness of the limbs is growing faster and more than it would probably if they were in a closed canopy type forest. And because they're abnormally large limbs growing well and super healthy, when the wind is knocking them down, there's more for the wind to catch, and they're just not supported as well as they would be in a more natural forest type of a setting. He sees hazard, he sees ongoing hazard. The integrity of the trees is a problem, but the drop hazards are going to continue to go on. Bring that up now, recent learning for me yesterday morning, we're going to research what's there. Can we harvest those trees with the money and pay for the cost of removing them? I don't quite know, don't have answers, but I just want to alert the board that is a situation that we're watching closely right now.
Is it fenced off over there?
It's inside the fence. Now, along,
But the barrier along the blacktop, did they put a temporary barrier up? To block it all up?
we put some cones as a morning take and we told the kids to stay out of it.
Okay.
Now, on Highway 101, the bridge right behind the high school, there's a windrow of trees. And my question to him was, do we need to consider those? He said, you get some sound protection, some wind protection from those. They're not immediately inside your fence, even though you have some same circumstances of these limbs being overly heavy. Probably not the same level of concern as the ones that are right there by the swing set and the basketball courts. So, we can get a second opinion. We can do some investigation about what it would take to log those out over the summer. But we do want to be mindful of that, and it is a going concern at the moment.
Can't we just limit it? Why take the whole?
They're limbed pretty high right now, but the ones that are up there, I can look up there right now. There's two good snags that are probably well above the bucket height that have fallen or just hanging on other limbs supporting them.
Just have somebody climb.
Yeah, it's gonna take somebody climbing and limbing it.
People don't get off the ground much anymore.
Yeah, but,
I know a guy.
yeah, he's across the street from me. We probably end up limbing most of the tree at that point. I should do 9. Let's pause my report and go back perhaps to your off presentation.
I would just say to that, I would say, I would want a second opinion. Honestly, I would want somebody else to kind of chime in about tree health and, what to expect. I think we have, I think we have enough high wind events, like if the concern is those limbs dropping, I would think that we have enough high wind events that's when it's gonna happen, not on a calm day when, but did you say, you said a snag, but did you mean a limb?
Right now, I can look up at that tree and there's two estimating 4 or 5 foot lengths thicker than my arm. They're hanging there
Okay.
on smaller limbs.
And it seems like it seems easy enough to get somebody up there quickly for a limb or, a removal of those snags
Somebody who's
and then re-estimate whether, it's really take or if nature is gonna.
yeah, like I said, for early development and investigating. So I'll let Josh introduce our auditor and we can receive her report, and so that's your thicker packet.
Yes, Kelsey from Nooner Davidson in Roseburg completed our audit. She is here to do our audit presentation today. She is online virtual. Are you ready, Kelsey? And can you hear us okay?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I can hear you guys. So, my name is Kelsey Pardon. I work at Nooner Davidson. I was the lead partner on the audit this year. So I'm just gonna go through the audit itself and just kind of touch on some points and numbers and kind of give you a general idea of what our conclusion came to. So on page 1 is our auditor's report. So that goes through all the detail of what we did during our audit. And we have an opinion that we come to every year based on what we look at, and it was unmodified. So the unmodified opinion is the best opinion you can have. It means that we didn't find any areas where we thought that there was any like material misstatements in the financial data. So that just kind of goes into detail about what we did during the audit. So then I'll go to the beginning. So there's also the management discussion and analysis. That's just the points that management wants you to kind of look at before you look at the financial statements. I'm not going to go through that, but it's good to look over. And then on page 8, we have the statement of net position. Since you guys are an accrual district, we do everything on an accrual basis for the statement of net position. That means we accrue all of the PERS liabilities at the end of the year. We capitalize your assets, and then we look at all the liabilities at year end. So your payroll liabilities. This information is good to look at, but it's not a big idea of like what's really going on from a district level. Since you guys are running everything on a cash basis, basically on the statements I get to later, that's what I like to look at the most. So page 9 is your statement of activities. So if you look at the first column up at the top, it's your expenditures. So district-wide, you spent $13,105,164. And then the next 2 columns show all the grants and services that covered those expenditures outside of the general fund. And then the bottom is your general fund revenues. So you had $9,100,057. So with that combined, you can see that you actually had a positive net position of $1,297,113. So then Schedule B1 is the next page. This shows you the breakdown of your assets, liabilities, and your fund balance based on the fund. So you can see that all the cash for your general fund, your special revenue funds, your debt service fund, and then your capital projects fund. So it looks like I know in the previous years we had a really big receivable at the end of the year, but it looks like it's getting a little bit better. So all the claims are being made closer to year end. We came up with accounts receivable of 577,000. I think it was in the like 1 million last year. So that's good. And then the next page is the B3. So this is probably the most important financial statement. This shows you, this is on page 12. This shows you the breakdown of the revenue and expenses for each fund. So you have your general fund, special revenue fund, debt service, and then capital projects. So the big thing that we like to look at is the fund balance at the end of the year and comparing it to the total expenses for the year. So I know in the past we had some issues with the attendance going down, and for the general fund, we have a pretty low fund balance at the end of the year. We have 433,292, and then total expenses we have about 9.5 million. So that makes your percentage. So if you were going to have that fund balance without any other revenue coming in, we like to see how long the district could last without any other funding, and it's 4.5%. We like it to be 15 to 20%. So I would love to see an ending fund balance next year of like $1 million, but I know that budgeting wise, we have come with 500,000, which is pretty consistent with what actually happened. So that's good. But yeah, we would aim to get it up to be like 10 to 15% at least. of the total expenses. And then the other funds were, the ending fund balance is pretty much correlated with what was budgeted. So you have the ending fund balance for the special revenue funds is 217,000. Debt service fund 675,000, and then the capital projects of 74,000. Okay, so then B4 just shows you all of your reconciliation from to the accrual statements. So I'm not going to go through that. It's kind of a lot of numbers that don't really make much sense for just looking at from a school district perspective. So B5, we have the fiduciary fund. It just shows you your total cash. That's for scholarships. So we have 237,000 in cash for that. Schedule B6 on page 15 just shows you how many donations came in and how many expenses went out of that fiduciary fund. And then the next page is your notes to the financial statements. This just goes into detail about each part of the financial statements and talks about PERS. I'm not going to go through it. It's just more detailed information. So if you're looking for anything, there should be information on that in the notes. And then I'm going to go to page 47. That's schedule C1. So that shows you for the general fund what your actuals came to versus what was budgeted for the year. It shows you the detail of the revenue, so you can kind of see what types of revenue came in and then what was budgeted. And then the next page shows you the expenses. So there were no budget overspends, so everything was within the budget this year for the general fund. And then if you go on, it's just detail of the PERS information. This is from the actuary report we received from the state. Shows how much they think your liability would be at year end and then what your covered payroll was for the year. And then there is also schedule C7 to C9 show you the actuals to the budgets for the special revenue fund, the debt service fund, and the capital projects fund. And then the other supplementary schedules, schedule D2, that shows you the breakdown of all the special revenue funds. So you can see all the income that came per fund and then what their ending fund balance was. The one thing that we did notice was that the food service fund this year has a negative fund balance. So that means that you spent more than came in by 97,000, which is a lot. So we know that going into this next year, there's going to be a budgeted transfer from the general fund to cover those expenses. But that was just something we wanted to point out. And then the last F1 statements, those are just expenditure breakdowns that are submitted for the Oregon Department of Education. And that goes all the way to the page 64. We're required by Oregon State to audit based on Oregon minimum standards. So we just do an additional look through for certain things. So we make sure that your deposits are with financial institutions that are approved to hold public funds. We look at what if you have any debt, if it's within the means that the state approves. Your budget process has been approved and done correctly. And then we look into see if there's any issues with your insurance. We didn't have any, there were nothing that was noted for the Oregon minimum standards. Everything was good. So yeah, and then we also look at the state school funding and just kind of make sure that based on what we're seeing, it makes sense on how much is coming to you guys. And we didn't find any issues with that either. So then we go to the single audit requirements. This is when your federal funding goes above 750,000. So because you guys hit, I think it's on page page 71 has the detail of all the federal revenue that came in for the district, and you guys have 1.5 million. So you hit that. So we do a little bit more testing with certain federal funding sources and make sure that you guys are following compliance wise. We didn't have any issues with the single audit as well. So that's great. Then I think that's our full report. There's just like one report at the end where we have to submit energy bill for heating for the state. So that's the whole audit. So if you guys have any questions for me, let me know.
Any questions, anyone?
The food service, was that discrepancy based on the loss of the federal afternoon program? So we're still trying to get food into the bellies of kids at our own expense, where we lost those funds, federal funds.
That after-school program,
Was that 97,000? That was what that number was.
that's basically what the difference is.
Okay. So we're still feeding those kids at the same rate we were before. Okay. Thank you.
And majority of districts, do have to supplement their food service budgets
Mhm.
from general fund.
Okay.
If we were in the black, that was more of an anomaly than not.
Yeah,
And then, there was one question about the ending fund balance of 4%. I think prior to this year, didn't we run closer to 10 to 15%?
ESSER money, we were almost near 20%. That was all those ESSER dollars that we hadn't spent.
Okay. We are hoping to kind of hang on to it and sort of maintain some of that, but this year was tough.
Several years ago, the board established a goal of maintaining about a 10% ending fund balance. And so 20 was in excess because of ESSER money. Obviously, the civil adjustment and the payment back to the state shot us way down. So shooting for 8 in this year's budget to get up to 8 from 4.3.
yeah, working back towards that 10 to 15% goal.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's see.
So what was given this? And is this,
It should be that one's just from Zuner Davidson, and I believe that's copies that Sherman printed for you.
in here, I didn't see, I looked through this and had a question. So on page 23, it says the district has invested funds and the state treasurer is over in short-term fund local government.
What page are you on, Bob?
23. So we, the next thing up, and what way, because I didn't see anyone was put in there.
Even money that we don't have to be spending, leaving the local government investment below GIP, gets a better interest rate than our bank. If we were to leave the money in a bank, we would get the same interest that we would. So
So how is that accounted for in these financial statements? And I didn't see anything listed saying LGIP. It's my ignorance, but you know what?
So if it's referencing the LGIP, that should be, if you look, find it. It'd be in
Oh, it's-
revenue.
Yeah, it's classified together. So it's cash and investments on page 10. You can see that has the general checking, and then it also has the LGIP fund classified together. But I have in the notes, we had at the end of the year, there was 123,000 in the LGIP fund. So that's that less that the general checking would be what the total is. So yeah, it is 123,000 at year end.
But as a total, where is it separated at? Is it part of the general fund then?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
211,000 is part of that 100,000.
200,000.
Right.
In page 10,
Oh, cash and investments.
Is
Yeah.
that right, Kelsey?
Yes, so the 211,000, it's a part of that.
So the monies that we have extra, we put into that checking account. The fund basically pays more interest than Umpqua Bank. That's why we leave it there.
Correct.
So we write checks or we take money out of that fund as a regular checking account.
We transfer money from that fund to the checking account as needed.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? Any more questions for Kelsey or Josh? Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you.
Okay, back to superintendent report. Right before right before our winter break, Reedsport Church of God gifted our teaching staff gift cards for use in their classroom, and they had money that they wanted to spend. They showed teaching staff as recipients, so several $100s per teaching, there's a couple $100 per teaching staff right before the break to support classrooms. Obviously want to thank them for their generosity, thanking of our teachers.
Thank you.
Coming up will be the second round of MAPS testing. We have fall round in the winter. This will be our first chance to make a comparison of where kids are at in their current classrooms with their current instructors. And that data should be available for us in our February meeting. They don't have that window open to them until the third week of January for MAPS testing. So we'll have data February board meeting to see what kind of growth our students have had academically in those tested areas. A little bit of meeting with the city manager about post tsunami events and planning. The big thing to kind of remind, the city has an emergency operation plan. It talks about a Cascadia event, big earthquake, big tsunami, all the blue paint in town, the high ground. And part of that plan is the city and the EOP will operationalize our buildings, especially Highland, as a shelter area, as a base of operation in that type of event. That doesn't mean that the schools are tsunami shelters like we had a month and a half ago. And so when the community was showing up, we have students on site, we're not accepting people for shelter in a tsunami event. In the case of the Cascadia, the EOP, when the city needs to enact that emergency operation plan, they understand our first responsibility is to take care of our students, make sure that we've housed or returned them appropriately before they operationalize the building for the city's use. So kind of a clarification that we had, and as part of this, a realization that they need to do a little bit more to advertise what their tsunami plan is. We've agreed.
How does one advertise when there are no newspapers
Yeah,
or media outlets in?
the best we came up with, because they've got pamphlets, but nobody goes down to pick up the pamphlets. We can send them home with students in backpacks. That really is only elementary kids. It's better than nothing. Just going. Got it on their website, but if people aren't actually searching and looking at it, then it's kind of part of the force. You can't force the horse to the drink.
Can't they sometimes put them in like the water bill or the electric bills?
That's a city issue, and I don't know. The idea of having our student backpacks be a courier system to some homes would make a dent. So that was something we agreed to. Some notes from the two buildings respectively. Highland's gonna have their STEAM night, January 21st. OMSI's gonna bring in some science exhibits and interactive activities. There's science, math, mystery, and then we have food service providing pizza, salad, lemonade, so we can feed some families and have a STEM night with some of our title dollars. The 23rd, our students are gonna be attending the Florence Music Festival. And for a note, we've used the outdoor school has been at Camp Kellogg outside of Elkton. Past several years, that site is no longer available to anybody. And so we've made a shift and we'll be out at Camp Lutherwood. Plan continues to have outdoor school. It's just going to be in a new location. High school, right before the winter break, they had a readathon and they got a few names to read of outstanding effort. Overall, the most pages read by any student was Manila Osorio. And the most money raised was by Brooke Fields in the readathon. At the junior senior level, Manila Osorio won most pages. At a freshman sophomore level, Alexandra Billings. And at 7th, 8th grade, most pages read, that was Corbin Lavar. So some acknowledgement to that readathon effort that the high school hosted. And just money raised level for a readathon, they raised just under $3,000.
Nice.
Nice overall effort.
Good job.
Kelly Luck, I want to give credit to with Holly Tavener at the hospital. They've really done a good job of devising a plan, a program where we're going to be able to host some of our students for a semester or a class at the hospital, getting not hands-on experience, but practical experience in the hospital in a variety of settings to learn about the job field, learn about what occurs, what goes on. Those two have been, there's a lot of barriers. We've got hospital regulations and school regulations, and they've been trying to navigate how do we make this work so that our students can see some hands-on job shadowing, learning from the experts doing the work. And they've designed a course to be able to offer second semester for 4 of our seniors participate in. So I'm excited to hear about that and see how that goes. Finally, the ICU program, just under 1,500 assignments completed so far. So
Do you have an outstanding number?
the persistent nagging is paying off. An outstanding number on ICU.
387. Assignments still out.
But
Is that high?
it's 75, 80% done, which that's
I mean, weren't we up to like 800 at one
Seven.
point before ICU?
700 at the end of the first semester last year.
Yeah, so,
We had 500 at the end of the first quarter this year, so we cut it down by 200. So we'll get down about 300 if we keep it right where it's at. And we're gonna incentivize a little bit to try to get it to 300.
Keep on nagging.
That's what we do.
carrot, not a stick, please.
and that wraps up my part of the report.
Thank you, Mr. Lindsay. Consent agenda,
Let's move that down into action, please. So we'll
action, okay,
call that C if it works for you.
okay, let's go to action items, A, B, and C. A, accepting the local service plan in Southwest ESD as presented. B, approved audit by Nooner Davidson and Company as presented, and C, early literacy success school district grant. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to accept local service plan with South Coast DSD as presented, approve the audit. Henry Davidson, as presented. Accept the legacy success school district grant as presented.
Second.
It's been,
Moved and seconded.
it's been moved and seconded for the action items A, B, and C is presented. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? And it passes. Discussion. Okay, Who will be attending the board work session to attend a webinar presented by OSBA to satisfy the requirement that all school board members must complete public meeting training once returned to office?
So the opportunity on February sixth, 6:30, presented by OSBA, we can set up in here to work. If you were present with Vince Adams on those Saturday trainings during this last term, when you were in office, you have to train during the term. I would encourage any opportunity for refresher to jump on it, but the law is to have it done at least once during a term. Every chance we get to practice a skill, we get a little bit better at it. So I don't want to downplay any of this, but just so
Just
you're-
hold it here, I think.
just so you're aware, what,
If we could have it here, I'd help to make it.
on February sixth, 6:30, we can set it up for you in the boardroom, Jack.
Yeah.
So
But I can't do it at home.
Okay.
I probably could, I just can't figure out how.
Jack, you'll be attending?
Huh? Bob is doing me. You know it well.
If I'm not golfing,
No, I'm gonna pass.
okay, John, put me on there.
Are you coming home?
All plan will be in there too.
Okay, then I'll reach out to Kerry Jones and see if he's available.
Can we have it here, John, on the big screen?
Yep.
Cool.
Okay, right, community comments. Any more community
Go.
comments?
On the screen.
Okay.
There are none. There are none online, yeah.
Thank, board member comments.
You good?
I would like to thank Mrs. Watts and John, and very great things for parents coming out of your school. You were like God sent to that. You're like a beaming light, they say. But
I have a
So
very
you
good
do-
mentor.
Yeah, you say-
Yeah, trouble.
you two work together really well. I said, oh yeah, Mrs. Watts, she's changing up some stuff and getting their attention. And so thank you.
Thank you.
A lot.
It's been a pleasure to be supported and.
Yeah. It really is. Yeah, I can't thank you enough. And John, you too. That's all I got.
I want to thank the staff, teachers, students, everyone who contributed to presenting items of gratitude to the district office. Just all the people who gave us their support. I'm really here for you guys, so thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, and all the teachers. They don't pay enough to have your job. No, thank you.
I agree with that. He's just kind of overwhelmed with all the tokens of
Yeah,
appreciation, truly written and physical. Also, I do want to say, I had the opportunity to visit Mrs. Adams' class before the break, when the kids were mummifying chicken feet. That was a lot of fun. I appreciated being able to watch the kids do that process. The kids really enjoyed it. And I'm hoping to come back when it's time to pull them out of the bin or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. I appreciate the invitation to do that. And if you have a chance to visit Miss Adams' class, it's great, whether it's, I got in the tail end of her history, her senior class with her history and her civics, or was it civics class? Yeah, and that was quite nice. The kids were very engaged in that process also. So, yeah, thank you for that. And, yeah, it was good. It's good. I like seeing things in action there. Oh, okay. Any further comments? Okay. Future agendas, Thursday, February 6th, 6:30 PM, work session here at the district office for OSBA training, and Wednesday, February 12th is our regular session board meeting. And with that, we are.